everyone. So here's the first thing that I want to know for you to put in the chat section. Who does Taco Tuesdays? And when you tell me that you do Taco Tuesdays, in what fashion do you do them? Is it always the same? So we've been meeting with some of our friends off and on at Jalapenos, which shout out to Jalapenos in Eagle River. Phenomenal margaritas and great food. And so I'm going to share this with all of you as a way to, so somebody just said, yep, Taco Tuesday all the way, but it just says Facebook user, like throw your name in there so I know who I'm talking to. So we've been going for a while. And I get, they're called El Patron tacos, and they're little street tacos. So it's not a whole lot of volume of food, and they're good. I wouldn't like put them up against any, like, like any winning any award, but we love Carmen, who makes us these amazing margaritas. And I'm embarrassed to say, I can't remember the guy who's there on Tuesdays and on Fridays. Oh, that's terrible. As soon as I walk in, I'll see him tonight. And when we walk in, it's the big hug, like, hey, it's cheers, right? And so these tacos, the exact same dish was $12.99. It's literally, that's all it is, 5 little tacos. And when we were there another time, like, I don't know, maybe a month ago, I'm like, looks like your prices have gone up. So now the same exact thing is $17.99. The exact same thing. So why am I bringing this up? Because when you raise your fees, people will notice and likely still come back. Yep. Like it's over $200 for my husband and I to eat dinner there, have tacos, and you know, usually have like a friend with us and we pick up the tab. $200 for 5 little tacos. And yet we're going back again tonight. But now we're taking our kids and grandson and whatnot. So the moral of the story is do what is appropriate, and your people will probably keep showing up for service. And that's what this guy does. Like, this is Dr. Matt Antonelli. And if you follow me on Facebook at all, you have seen this guy's testimonial and his success. And I don't even know how many Facebook Lives that we've done about who he is, which also indicates like his success. So I told him that I was going to ask him a question, and that I know he's fine with me like giving him a lob ball to hit out of the park. So here's what I want to know tonight is, what did you tell yourself was true, which is a premise typically, when you first started in practice, that now that you've been on this journey for a little while, you look at it like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I used to think that that was true. Or I used to think that that was so difficult. So let's first start with, it's Dr. Matt Antonelli. Where do you practice? Tell us the structure of your practice. Like, I have these many people as my team members. This is my focus, so that anyone who's new to the game with us and doesn't know you, that they can quickly come up to speed.
Sure. Right now I practice in North Carolina, just 30 minutes north of Charlotte. Open our practice, it's coming up in October, it will be 2 years. So that's fresh, but been in practice for about 6. Right now I just hired my second CA like a month and a half ago. So we have 2 staff there. They're both part-time. They cover different hours. And we have a massage therapist who's also happens to be my wife. And I'm the only chiropractor in the office. And I also am a certified acupuncturist.
And a huge, really big on the execution of chiropractic.
Correct.
You love studying and have spent a lot of time perfecting your art.
Oh yeah, a long time. Even before I went to school, I had mentors. I shadowed about 35, I think it was 35 or 36 offices before I actually graduated. just get an idea of all the different types of practices, how you can do it, what I like, didn't like. That way I can settle into my own ways.
So Matt, when you went and shadowed 35 offices, and that's something new I didn't realize, like that's awesome. So if you're a new doctor or a student, or even if you've been in practice for a long time and maybe you're bored, like go and shadow offices. When you went in, what lens were you looking at through when you looked at all of these different offices?
So a lot of them actually started as an internship. It was before I was even accepted to chiropractic college. I just wanted to go. So I was an undergrad and I did my internship at two different places. One, was Dr. Schaub. But before that, I did another office, and I wasn't really too much of a fan of how he practices and everything like that. But the one takeaway I did take from him is he made me go shadow at least 10 other docs, and I went to probably everyone in the surrounding area, and then one or two back home, back in Long Island. And that set me off on a path while I was going through school. And Dr. Schaub pushed me towards that as well, as go check out other people's offices. So even whether it was just for myself, I just went to get adjusted, see how they did things without them knowing it was going to school, or I went just to shadow them to see how things went for the day or a couple of days or so. So they're all different forms of like evaluating, but I liked it that way so I can get different perspectives.
And so, going back to my original question of what did you believe, and for those who haven't been, you're not in the boot camp, and maybe you're not even in the mastermind, the mindset mastermind, there are basically like three categories. There's truth, premises, and behaviors. And these are things that we've told ourselves are true, but they're commonly only true for ourselves or other people. This is just universal truth, and our behaviors are the result of our premises. So what things were you for sure like, I know this is how it must be in practice, and now that you're almost 2 years into it, you're like, oh my gosh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Because now you're seeing more truth and recognizing like those were premises that you held to be true, and that those premises drove behaviors that now you're like, I just don't have to do that.
Yep. So there's a lot of truth I was trying to tell myself. I was in a bad space mentally for a number of years before meeting you, and you actually pushed me over the ledge just to make that decision. I always knew that opening my own was the right way to go, and it's just the petrifying fear of everything's going to crumble around you. Everything's going to, it's fear. It's going to be right back where you were when you were younger, the same situation. You're just always going to be in a hole. But
okay, so the premise was you're just going to be in a hole no matter what you do. You're going to end up right back in a hole. Okay, so no matter what, life really isn't going to be different. Is that about accurate?
Yeah, beforehand, that was my mindset.
So if that was truth, if that was the premise, what then drove you to do anything about it? Like if no matter what, if the premise is, I'm just going to end up back here anyway. If you can think back to those days, what then like caused you to even get up and do anything differently?
I always kept an open eye and followed different entrepreneurs and stuff like that and hearing people's stories. So I made a promise to myself when I was younger of like, I will do whatever I can to get out of the situation. So even though you have that, monkey brain negative aspect in the back of your head telling you that it's going to be the same, I always try to overpower it as much as I can with there is a way out. You just have no idea what it is.
And if you guys are watching, I started smiling when he said, I heard others' stories.
Yep.
I heard other people's stories. So if you've ever wondered, why do I interview boot campers so often?
This is why.
Why do I ask them to share their story? because your story, Matt's story, whoever is watching this now or watches this as replay, your story can become the launch pad for somebody else's greatness. For them to see, like, maybe, oh, if Matt can do it, maybe I can do it. Maybe there's something good about me that I can step forward and I can keep pursuing. So to all of you, if you take nothing else away from this interview than this, your story matters. Show up and show your story. And that's one thing I love about Matt. Like every time I ask him, like, hey, Matt, will you join me? It's a DTR for him. Yes.
Yep.
Right? Like no matter what, I know his answer is going to be yes. Like it is just a built-in yes. Matt, what causes you to say yes?
I like helping influence people because I know that's what helped me get to where I am. So whatever I can do to help others. I mean, I plan to do more on that as I get settled in office and I get everything, to the T like a machine, that I can help other people on a larger scale. But if I could do even just an interview like this and just one person gives them motivation, even if they're in practice and they just need a different state of mind to get there. I mean, that's what I needed. So
I'll put you on the spot here because I already know what the answer is going to be. If
yeah.
someone is watching this and they're like, all right, I'll go observe in other people's practices, could they contact you and come and observe in your practice?
Oh yeah, I've had a few people come and just check it out. People are just thinking about chiropractic school that haven't gone yet. High school kids that just wanted to check it out. Yeah, by all means.
What if I've been in practice for 15 years and I'm discouraged and I just would love to be around somebody who's like making stuff happen? Could that person reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
What if I'm a student and I'm like going to graduate in December and I'm not really sure. Do I want to be an associate? Do I want to start my own practice? Could they come and observe?
Yeah, just had somebody at the beginning of the year do that. So come on in.
What if I'm a student and I just feel like what's right for me is to be an associate? Could I come and observe in your practice and get to know you? And would it possibly be on offer that eventually you would hire an associate?
Yeah, we're in the works of doing that now. Wasn't planning on bringing someone on for like anywhere from a year 3 to 5, closer to that. But we're looking at possibly the beginning of the year to the middle of the year, bringing someone on at the growth rate right now.
I find life is so interesting. So there's the premise. The premise was we'll bring on an associate or invite someone, or we'll be at the growth state in 1 to 5, in 3 to 5 years. Well, like Dr. Matt just said, in October, he's 2 years. So I encourage all of you to, yes, set time, but recognize that time is fluid.
Yep.
Like even, oh my gosh, that day went by so fast. It couldn't go by any faster than it's ever been. Or, oh my gosh, that day just lasted forever. And it's so funny that we say those things because it doesn't ever go by any differently if we're really looking at time.
State of mind. It's a state of mind.
It's so, isn't it Billy Joel that has a song called State of Mind? Oh yeah, New York State of Mind, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like those of you in the audience, is it Billy Joel that sings that song, A New York State of Mind? I can almost hear him singing it in my head right now. So Matt, let's talk about where has this journey in 2 years led you? Like, let's talk numbers.
Okay. Any specific numbers? Just everything for the office?
Yeah. So let's start with, well, in order to be as successful as you are, you must have had Rich Daddy's money backing you.
Oh yeah. No, I had absolutely nothing. I worked 2 or 3 jobs since I was in high school. Started my first job when I was 12, so I had that attitude. And before I opened my own, I worked at 3 different offices. I just found that there was some illegal billing going on or different things going on in each office. So I had to change, which altered my state of mind for the career path. It really set me in a bad state of mind. So I always had a teaching job online, and I was doing other things outside that. So I wanted to exclude that and focus on just what I'm good at. So when we got into our office, yeah, just I always lived like I used to live out of my car when I was younger. So I always lived like I could live on nothing. So every dollar I saved, I put it away. I'm like, this is my section I can take out. So when I open my business, I have everything set. So I was able to buy all the stuff for my office in cash, so I didn't have to finance anything besides my build out. So I owned everything. I'd start with a small overhead. So I listened to other people who've done it before, and I just didn't want to get in over my head, so it failed. So I did everything I could to make it happen. But yeah, no, I didn't have anything growing up. I literally absolutely nothing. Lived out of my car, did my best to get through school myself. I didn't go home. I couldn't afford to drive home even 5 hours. So I worked at school and just definitely didn't grow up on the fancy end.
So would it be fair to say that our past is just that? Our childhood is what we lived. It doesn't have to have any bearing on our future, or it can. That it's just that. It's childhood, period, which is what we're learning in the Mindset Masterclass, right? Like, period.
Yeah.
Like, that is my childhood.
And that's how I used to think of just living in the past. And for instance, this weekend I threw my sister a baby shower at my house, first party at a brand new house, and I had my aunt over I haven't seen in about 4 years. And we had a conversation about consciousness and getting to where I am now. She's super proud of us, and she was always telling me, she got in the conversation, I felt she just gravitated towards me, and she has a fear of the future, not knowing where she's going, what she's doing when her mom passes. And that got me on a rant of thinking about this whole thing. So we were just talking about it yesterday, and it's just like you're afraid of something that hasn't happened yet, and you're the only one that can change it. Same thing with the past. It's already happened. I can't change it. The only thing you have this little window, and you're going across the screen, and you're worried about what's before and after it, and nobody enjoys where they are right now. So yeah, you can worry about like, will the practice fail in a year? It might. I might get in a car accident and break my leg, and I can't practice too. But right now, I have an office. I have people working for me. I'm helping their lives out as well, make money. And we got to focus on right now, not worried about what it comes. Whatever's going to come our way, we're going to adapt and change to it accordingly.
So someone's watching this, like, what have you done? Like, just tell me like what to do and I'll do it. Right? Like, I get that like so often, just like, tell me what to do and I'll do it. And it's like, I don't really think that's true.
Yeah, nothing's cookie cutter.
And even if the recipe was in front of us, like I said this today and honestly, I don't even know. I've been on so many calls today, even with like boot campers, non-boot campers. I don't remember which occurrence this was. So if you're watching this and you were with me and I'm labeling it wrong, I apologize. But it was, I think it was on the call I offered for boot campers for their next series of training. And that was, Dr. Barb, just tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do. And then I already know everything's going to be okay. Then I can for sure open my practice. Then I can for sure do this thing. And so we've set up in our mind that when I get that secret, everything's going to change. Right? And I propose this. It's not the secret that changes everything. I propose that insight, a sight from within, is what can totally change everything in the future. So, yep. Matt, if you had to, let's just even say in the last 90 days, what insight, what sight from within have you seen that has like just opened up the next floodgate of coming alive for you?
I think along the way you get stuck in little pockets of plateaus you got to break past, just mentally and office wise. So bringing someone else on in terms of my second CA opens a lot of doors. It noticed that even though we got stuck in our ways, we noticed a lot of things my original CA was doing incorrectly. Not that she was making mistakes, just I didn't even notice we did incorrect. So we got to change those things. And then also having two people that you're helping fund their lives as well. You want to get the office working like a machine so we can all do well. It's not just about you're making money. If they're not happy, they're not going to be productive as well. So it's, you have a bigger team, you have a bigger responsibility, and it's like, okay, well, we got it now, and we have to get it to a better place than where it is. So that mentality of just never being comfortable, like you're happy, but you're never being comfortable, like this is just it. Like there's always something to work on. Probably in the last 90 days, even though we brought her on a month and a half ago, that's probably what most prevalent right now. Just fine tuning everything all the time. Even myself getting little pockets of doing the same ROF a certain way and not trying to work on a little bit. And then you pick up on, like, now you have a different CA. She works different. You have to learn how to work with that person, even though it's the same office, and you have to critique things a little bit better. So that's probably what's been going on lately.
I love that. In your growth phase, like, something that I have done in my life, and I've seen others do the same thing, is as new things occur to you, there's a premise that then we have to say what we used to do was bad. And one of the things that I love that I've observed in your life is you don't make the past wrong. It's just like, oh, like that's just how we did it there. And now look at this. Like
Yep.
This doesn't have to be wrong to make this right.
Correct.
This was right in the moment. Like the premises. How interesting. How interesting that I used to be of that belief. And now it's like, oh, there's something else available.
Yeah, it doesn't even stress me out anymore. And when it used to, you just harp on that and sit with it for like a month or two and let it drive you crazy. And it's just, you just have to change it.
Just stay in flow.
Yep.
Stay in flow. And the really cool thing I find about flow is that we can look at our premises and not be upset that we had those premises. We can just see them for what they were. Is like, that was what was true for me then. Because what I recognize is I wasn't operating on universal truth. I was operating from a perspective that I made true for me at that time, that I said it had to be true for everyone, and that's not. And that's something I really see in our culture today is if it's true for me, it must be true for you.
Yeah.
That is not true.
No way.
Right? Like your fear does not mean that you get to inflict on my freedom. Just own it. It's your fear. If wearing a mask makes you feel more confident in the power that made your body, wear that mask with pride.
Go ahead. Yep.
I do not have any, like, that does not make me feel safer. That does not make whatever. And so your desire to mandate my body, your desire to mandate my freedom to breathe without a mask, like, I'm sorry, but like, that does not, I don't have to do that for you to feel. You are not going to tell me what to do for you to make yourself feel safer. You do your own safety.
Yep.
But this is what makes me safe based on truth that I know. And I fully believe in the power that made the body heals the body. I know these are always true about strengthening the nerve system and the immune system, regardless if it's COVID time or not COVID time.
Agreed.
These are truths that will diminish my body's ability to be well, whether COVID time or not COVID time. And there's never been a time in my immune system's life or immune system period that said less oxygen is better.
I'm with you.
If that was true 10 years ago, we would have read about it. Sorry. And putting more toxicity into my body is not making me healthier. It never has been like that ever. Truth versus premise.
Yep.
So then, Matt, let me ask you this. if we can just kind of categorize North Carolina with
Yep.
a big broad stroke, it definitely used to be much more of a conservative, freedom strong place. And it's been moving more and more and more away from that as the pendulum swings.
Oh
So,
yeah.
as an individual who I know you well enough to know that you are pro freedom, freedom for all individuals, right? Um, in the days of mayhem that we find ourselves in as a chiropractor, what is your key to stay hey, I know that guy. There are hearts there, so I'm guessing perhaps that could be your massage therapist that you sleep with, which everyone should know it's his wife. He is mixing business and pleasure because it's his wife. What is your key that you come back to being grounded despite all of this stuff that's going on of the desires of some to strip you of your personal liberties and freedoms?
I obviously pay very close attention and look at the research on that. So does Jessica. I could hear you in the other room. She's laughing right
That's what she said. I'm laughing in the other room. Did you like that, Jess?
now.
You sleeping with an employee?
Kind of
Yeah.
spin off of what you said of how the other person about your health and what you want to do. I don't let that affect me either, and vice versa. You can't control everyone else's reactions. It's not going to change your mindset. If it does, it's going to drive you crazy. So in our office, respectfully, right now we don't. It's up to us, and now they made it up to the city and county whether we're going to follow certain rules, mask mandate, and stuff like that. I just follow the respect of some of the patients. If they choose not to wear it, that's their choice. If they want to, by all means, if that's what makes you feel safe, I'm okay with it. And I have a mask there. I will gladly wear it for you. As long as I can get you to feel better, I don't care. If they have a problem with, certain people not coming in, and we really haven't had any issues, maybe like once or twice, and that was last year. We keep everyone like running like clockwork in the office, so no one's really sitting next to people for extended period of time. So no one really actually has a care. If they want me to wear it, by all means, I'm not with them that long. If it makes you feel safe, as long as I feel better, you're fine. Go in the next room, I remove it for that person, and we're fine. I mean, it's my office, my decision as of right now. Unless they come in and knock on my door and make me, that's a different story. And we did last year, and we wore it. We do what we wanted to do, but I'm letting the patients make their own decision. But I don't focus that in the office. I don't let patients get off on tangents about the vaccine and all this other stuff. It's just not my focus. It's disrupting my care. And if they really want to have that, technically it's out of my scope. You can go to your primary care and talk to them for 30 minutes about it. If they have a question about it, I'll give them the education and the research based on my knowledge. But yeah, just don't let it become part of my bubble. I'm doing what I need to do chiropractic wise, and that's what we're focusing on. And it really hasn't disrupted anything. So it's really just my mindset.
And no, I love hey, if you want to know how I've made this decision and I'm just grounded in my decision, here you go. Like, here's everything. And please do read it and then make an informed decision. That's something I love about the National Vaccine Information Center is they're about informed consent,
Yep.
informed decision. And if any powers that be are watching this now or will watch it later, or the Facebook, what are they called, the fact checkers, like, please
Yeah.
fact check this. It's informed consent.
Yep.
We're not saying no one should be vaccinated. We're simply saying informed consent. Like, please give us the right, when there's harm possible, that we get to make a decision based on our own informed consent. Like, we're not running around mandating no one should be. We're simply asking, could we please, based on informed consent, based on the fact that we've done the research, would you please let us have the ability to make the decision, like to be sovereign over our own bodies, and that choice should not restrict our ability to move about in society. That should not impact our ability to practice chiropractic, because when we got the license and you granted us the license in your state to practice chiropractic, It did not say that I had to be vaccinated.
Yep.
The license that we all hold right now, when we got it, it did not say that we had to be vaccinated.
Yep. Luckily, my state's not too hardcore on that right now, but we'll cross that battle if they get there. Hopefully, they do not. Just trying not to stay in my own little world here, you know.
I recently on a women's Facebook page in chiropractic called the Extraordinary Women Chiropractors Facebook page. I took kind of a different viewpoint. Let me see if I can find this so I get the conversation accurate. And I simply started it with I recognize that maybe this isn't a popular viewpoint, and it was basically someone posted about the idea of, oh, I just like let them kind of, oh, here it is. It was this idea of, would love to hear your response to this post that came across my feed a minute ago. And it says this: to all non-vaxxers, you say you have antibodies, you say you're safe. Maybe you are. Most likely you're not. Your refusal to be vaccinated has farther reaching consequences of just yourself. Personally, I have little sympathy for you if you get sick and have a terrible outcome. Which supposedly we're the ones that are so filled with hate, but like,
yeah, it's pretty hateful.
I actually have sympathy even for this person, that they're so caught in fear that they would basically say, I hope something terrible, like I'm fine if something terrible comes to your life because of your choice not to vaccinate. Please understand, if you're holding that viewpoint, you are not operating in what is human, because what is human is peace, love, and joy. And that definitely isn't from a vantage point of love. Your doctors and medical community have been begging you to get vaccinated, so that's on you. But you are now a threat to children under 12 and the immune compromised. Just get vaccinated. Like, just do what we've done. We have run out in fear and agreed to be vaccinated. Can't you just run out in fear, just like me, is what that's saying. And most everyone was like, oh, I don't bother. I don't bother saying anything. Right. So that was kind of this conversation. And I was like, this may be really unpopular, but for me, I have a moral obligation for me to stand up and say something.
Agreed.
Just like, hey, have you considered this? Have you considered the possibility that all of this other, like, opposite of what MSM is saying, have you considered this is possible? Not for the purpose of changing anyone's opinion, or especially the person who's like calling me out saying I'm basically irresponsible. But what if someone reading that is looking for this banner of, hey, there's another reality, there's another possibility. Like, are we willing to take a few minutes to stand in that gap?
And for me, if they really need it, and I sense that, I mean, if they are stressing their concern and want to, or just most people are just angry about it, and I just don't want my mentality, because I'll get sucked into it, and I don't want to spend, all my time with each patient as we come in, not focusing on their care and just focus on that. But yeah, in the time being, if they're really curious, they want to know, I don't mind sharing the information I have with them. It's not that I'm going to ignore them and be like, nope, don't bring it up in here, keep your mouth shut. Like, I won't say that. I just don't want to be at the focus of my care, because I'm going to focus on that. And then people are very divided right now, and it's angry, and people get lashed out. And I'm not causing like hatred and everything in the office. They'll get my hints if they're that type of person, that it's not a concern of mine. Just based on running the office, and that I'm not concerned about getting into it.
And I love that. Like, I think it's perfectly, and this will come across beautifully if really our heart is in, and I'm not going to say if our heart is in the right place, because what is the right place? Here's what I know is right: peace, love, and joy.
Yep.
That's who we all are at our core. So if in practice, a practice member is like, hey, doc, like, what do you think about the vaccine? Right?
Yeah.
I think it's totally, and what I hear you saying is to basically ask them, are you looking to debate me? Or are you looking for, like, why is it that I have made the decision that I have? Like, which are you looking for? If you're looking for a fight, would it be okay if we make the agreement that yours showed up today to be adjusted, to have me check you, and if you need to be adjusted, to adjust you? Is it okay if we focus on that? And if you'd like to have this conversation further, or you're really curious about what my opinion is, can I direct you to, like, I've been very clear about my stance in during this whole thing on my social media pages. And it doesn't mean I don't want to have that conversation with you or I'm afraid. It's just right now I've set aside the time to check you and adjust you. And I've set aside that time specifically for you so that I can also then be present with the next individual who is committed to coming in at that time. Would it be okay if we have this discussion at a different time?
Perfect. You can come work for me. No, that's exactly how it is.
But
And if they
but I
really were worried about themselves, then I'll talk with them after. Have an email. I'll call you because we have to do a lot of people that are negative side effects. And if they really are concerned, then I obviously want to address that. But exactly what you said is how I handle in the office because we are busy. So you really can't bump heads with every single person. You're going to get heated. And then the next time you go into the next room with the next patient, you're not going to be in the good mindset to treat them as well. And you're more likely to branch off on that conversation. So I'll handle it just like you said.
and um I invite anyone who's watching this to see individuals through the lens of they're not your adversary. So listen to me, everyone, right now. Everyone is doing the best that they can given the thinking that appears real to them.
Yep.
Everyone is doing the best that they can given the thinking that appears real to them. Because here's the deal: thinking creates our reality. And am I offended by somebody like saying you're irresponsible because you're not getting vaccinated? I'm not offended. Like, that's their thinking. They're
Yep.
and really and truly, if you stop for 1 second and consider this possibility, is it possible any human being in their right mind, and their right mind is peace and love and joy, is it possible that any human being in their right mind, if operating from a state of peace and love and joy, would step out then in fear and say, yes, put that in my arm, if they really and truly looked at it through a lens of coming from a state of calm and making that decision? I don't think it's possible. I really just don't think it's possible that they would line up for that if not coming from a complete state of fear.
Yep. Or at least most of them.
So
I
can
agree.
we let's and I recognize they're not showing compassion towards those of us who've chosen not to be vaccinated. I get that. But where they come from has nothing to do with me. Their come from is simply demonstrating to all of us the level of fear that they're living in.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
It's kind of sad. So let's maybe just shower them with compassion. It's like we had friends that were over. Um, I'm I'm just gonna say recently, and they're in such fear. They're more afraid of what MSN has told them is possible with COVID than the fact that I pointed out to her, you have lived in Alaska and been in the woods in our environment more than almost anyone I know, without a gun and without bear spray, with wild animals that could destroy you with a swipe. And yet you trust what is that you'll be safe, but now you're operating in such a state of fear that you're going totally against what you know to be true. Is it just possible that a choice to be jabbed was made in a state of complete disarray? Like kind of like anyone who I just shared this with Demi, of here's what happens when we make decisions when we're all fired up. If you've been scuba diving or snorkeling, what kind of water do you want to swim in to see things as beautiful as they are? Clear,
Clear
right?
water.
Clear water, in order to see the fish and in order to see this amazing creation under the water that God has created. What you don't want is to have it all stirred up, right? And one of the defense mechanisms of some smaller fish and sea life is that they stir up the sand, because what do they know happens? You can't see.
Yep.
So when we're making a decision from made up fear, right? Not the fear of, oh my gosh, there's a bear, I better run, like fear of my life, for my life, like literally my life. That we're doing so in kicking up all of the sand on the ocean floor when we're trying to see truth, we're trying to see the beauty that's there. So I'm just asking any of you who are sitting on the fence, please make sure that when you make the choice to do that, it's not from a state where all of the sand is kicked up,
Yep.
that you're in crystal clarity. And I'm asking that we all respond to others, not when the sand is all cleared up, when they have fired us up, like just let it settle. Just give it a minute. It could be give it a day. It could be give it a week and then respond. And
Yep.
I get the sense that that's the groundedness that you're coming from in your practice. Like I hear you, I see you, I understand, like it's really important to you right now. Would it be okay if we table that for a minute and I just check and adjust you today? And if you want to do the fight later, like we'll do the fight later. Like it's okay. Like I'm happy to do that with you. I'll go as many rounds as you want to go. But
Yep.
right now, can I check and adjust you? And please know I see I see your fear. I get it.
Yeah, they'll follow your lead and respect you for that. I mean, there'll be occasional person, and then if it gets bad, you ask them to leave. That's it.
That's right.
Luckily, I haven't had to do that yet. So
You want to keep kicking up the sand. I get it. I get you want to keep kicking up my sand, but guess what? I cannot adjust you and see clearly. I can't see all of this beauty that's under the ocean's floor when the sand is all kicked up. So if it's okay with you, in order for me to best serve you as your chiropractor, the dust has to settle so I can do and see you right now and caring for you.
yep.
And I know with confidence that's the position of just groundedness that you've taken in your practice. And for that, have you experienced growth in the last year, or have you noticed that you are like barely making it?
On the last year, oh no, we excelled throughout the entire time, and even just the last 2, 3 months, we've made a huge jump again. And we probably will, because we just bought an extra unit. We're having it probably within 3, 4 weeks up and running, so that will increase retention revenue, stuff like that too. But yeah, we just jumped up to seeing about 40 patients a day. Doing that in the time frame that we did it, really happy about it, you know.
Grounded,
Yep.
grounded. Hey, Dr. Matt, as we wrap this out, and for those of you who have made comments, we need to be spreading love and compassion. Absolutely, everyone is so quick to set blame. And
Yep.
yeah, and you know what? In my life, there are times I've looked for somebody to blame, and I can tell you, it's never come from a state of groundedness when I look for others to blame, because at the end of the day, I'm responsible for this life. It's called mine.
Yep.
By that person making that negative comment, how does that change anyone's mind? Again, I remember that everyone is Everyone is doing the best that they can given the thinking that appears real to them. And
Yeah, I
I
agree.
truly believe that there are individuals who took the jab and now they're mad that they took it. They that there's something that innately tells them that was not the thing to do. So they have to make others wrong that we have stood in groundedness.
Oh yeah, I have plenty of patients that are in that position now.
And they have such regret. And so if you don't know what that feeling is, if you're not willing to look, see, tell the dirty, rotten, stinking truth and take responsibility, we look to blame others. And
Yep.
remember that victims have an amazing way of making victims of others. They want others to like, it's your responsibility, like you're doing the wrong thing. Um they want us to be a part of it, and we can just gently say, like, I see you, and this is where I'm standing from. This is where I'm standing, and check your COVID chaos at the door. Yeah, check it at
Simple as
the
that.
door. I love you. Check it at the door. I love you. Check it at the door. I love you. Check it at the door. This is a safe place for all of us.
Yep.
We have many patients that have said they have regretted it.
Yeah, we do too.
You know what was so interesting? The other day I had a conversation with an individual, um, and we both have firsthand accounts, just like you said. You have patients firsthand, so it's not hearsay. They're telling you, and both of us had gone through and firsthand experience, had talked to people who have experienced something way different than what MSM is talking about regarding COVID, but yet we don't see those stories.
Oh no, I've even called primary care physicians around us too, and they know that there's a large musculoskeletal issue afterwards for people. Chronic pain is increased for 4 to 6 weeks. We got giant lymphatic vessel swelling. I mean, you name it, joint swelling. I have a guy that's can't control his joints. All the joints of the extremities are 3 or 4 times the size. What I do helps for 2 or 3 days, blows up again. I mean, we have a ton of it. So, but nobody likes to report. I've even talked to a few about reporting it, and I think the CDC had an estimated side effects of 1% reports. So, I mean, people said something too. You make a big difference, but they feel like nothing's going to change if they say anything, and I've had patients tell me that too. So it stinks, but again, I try not to go down that rabbit hole either. There's only so much I can do in the office there.
And there's a lot that we can do. There's a lot that
Oh,
we are
there is.
doing. And remember that individuals will see what they're looking for. So if an individual is looking to see what are the potential side effects, are individuals, I had someone have the audacity to say to me the other day, no one's been injured by the vaccine. I don't know why you're so upset about it. I'm like, how do
All
you
right.
know? Are you looking for that truth?
Yeah.
No.
Nope.
Huh, then how do you know? I'm convinced the world is flat. Are you looking for an alternate reality? Because
Nope.
when they started looking, they actually found truth that it wasn't flat at all. So, Matt,
Exactly.
as we round this out, um, what final word do you want to say to those who will watch this regarding no matter what, life isn't going to be different or better? Because it's really cool how that's what we started with, and then we ended up on the COVID or conversation of, it seems that there are many individuals who are like, it doesn't really matter anyway. It's not going to be any different. And your life again and again and again has disproved that premise. So what truth? What is a universal truth that you want to remind individuals to look in the direction of?
That you can make your future anything that you desire. Really, it's just you got to keep in that mindset. It's not about just drilling yourself with positivity and motivation. That comes along with it. You got to know what you want to do. It might not happen exactly how you want it, but that's going to evolve as you go across. Just don't focus on front and back what has happened or what's going to happen, because what's going to happen is what you're going to make it. If you make your life every day about worrying about what happened last month and last year, yep, that's what's going to happen in the future. So just don't focus on that. You have your clear. central view of what we want to happen and what's going on right now, and then just go forward with that. And everything else will start paving the way for you. You're going to have different ideas, different opportunities. So your mindset and goals, everything's going to change, but at least you have a boundary of a platform of what to work on, and just keep your eyes on that. That's what I've done, at least.
Love it. Matt, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah,
Congratulations to you and Jess for just continuing to, I love how you described it too. And all of us, let's celebrate the plateaus. They don't mean that something is wrong with us. They don't mean that something is wrong with our community. In order to, I had a conversation with Michael Neal, the author of this book, this afternoon. We just had like a lovely conversation. And we were talking about how individuals seek our advice as coaching, or they seek us out as coaches, and they want to grow their businesses. And when we pull back the curtain and look at oftentimes their businesses or life, it's like a house of cards. And they're asking like, hey, can you make my house of cards? I want you to help me build this house of cards to be even bigger. And it's like, you have a house of cards. Like, it's going to come crumbling down. And like, I know, but I just want to make the house of cards bigger. I just want to grow it taller. And it's like, I'm the wrong gal for you.
Yep.
And that's totally okay. Like, there are lots of individuals that will help you make your house of cards bigger. I'm not one of them. There are lots of individuals who will play into this chaos with you. I'm not one of them. There are individuals who will give you a pill, potion, or lotion for your house of cards called your health. But I, Dr. Matt Antonelli, am on this journey with you for a strong foundation. Like, let's really look at what is health.
Yep.
And let's look at your body, and I'll be right here with you, shoulder to shoulder, along this journey. Is that about accurate for?
I agree. That's actually, I like that view.
Practice?
Yeah.
Very cool. Matt, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Keep up the great work. I love your courage. I love your insatiable thirst for living life.
There it is. I like it.
So keep it up.
We'll do it.
Thanks for joining me. Thanks to all of you. If this has said something to you today, I'm literally asking you, will you take 5 seconds to simply hit share and share this to your page, share this to the groups that you're in? Because what if somebody else is looking for truth and they're just looking for the way in which Matt and I said it today? It could totally change their future. So my ask today is simply share. Thanks so much.
Thank you.